Welcome to this session. My name is Richard Parker. I'm Chief Customer Officer and co-founder of Elements.cloud. And over the next 10-15 minutes, I'm going to take you through an overview so that you can understand how to leverage the capabilities we provide in Elements to reduce org discovery by significantly more than 50% in most cases. I'm also going to show you how you can take the insights, the framework that creates, and actually leverage that as a Salesforce configuration knowledge platform over the long term. There's a lot you can do to explore this and try it out in your own org, and we encourage you to do that. But most of all, we encourage you to engage with us and let us help you understand how you can leverage these capabilities in your own situations. Now, when we look at org discovery, one of the things you want to consider is what are the drivers. Now, typically, the biggest driver is risk. Fundamentally, people want to understand if I'm going to change things, if I'm going to take advantage of all the fantastic capabilities there are on the Salesforce platform, how am I sure that I'm not going to break something? If I want to change something, if I want to add capabilities, what am I impacting? What potentially could I break? Now, from a technical perspective, I'm going to show you some of the things we can do to help with that. But there's other elements to risk as well. It's not just in terms of the software and the configuration and how everything comes together. It's also operational. Obviously, you're using Salesforce to generate business outcomes, and a lot of those are operational. It might be end-to-end in terms of impacting many different people. It could also be multiple systems, lots of integrations, customer data flowing in and out of other systems. And understanding that and being able to link that into the context of the structure of what you got in Salesforce is really useful. The third point there is regulatory. Now, regulatory is from the perspective of, yes, I might be able to change a field, and yes, it might technically work, but have I inadvertently caused a non-compliance? Or have I, without understanding what's going on, caused an issue that has broken down some regulatory issue, some complex reporting or dashboards that were there from a compliance perspective. So there are different aspects to risk here that we can bring in. The second key driver for org discovery is really, if you think about this as building your knowledge of what's going on in your org, it's also about making sure that as you add new things, as you expand, that you're building the right things. Another way of looking at this is you may get going really fast, you may get fantastic from a DevOps perspective of building things very fast and building them well, but are you going in the right direction? And the more you know about your org, how it works and how it interacts with your operations, the better. So it's all about velocity, not just speed. The third thing is if you want to engage with senior management in terms of getting resources, in terms of being able to articulate to them what's really going on in the org, what you need, whether that's from the impact of tech debt, whether it's from the impact of not understanding them not understanding why it is taking so long or why it could take so long and needs to be gone through in a very rigorous way to ensure that you don't break things. Being able to do that and explain to people from a management perspective is crucial. Now, Forrester back in 2017 may seem like a long time ago, but it's just as relevant, if not more relevant today. They made this statement in a study they did. Salesforce at Scale Dilemma was the title. And by the way, it's one of the resources that we link to. And the statement is that the complexity of scale crushes Salesforce responsiveness. As Salesforce use grows, innovation slows, flexibility evaporates. Now, that's not some doom monger saying. It's also not the inevitable outcome. And they have 5 specific things they talk about in that report to make sure that you don't end up there. But it underscores the importance of taking a disciplined, proactive approach to understanding your org so that as it gets more complex, more strategic, more integrated with the rest of your operations, with your systems, you don't grind to a halt because you're worried about what are we going to break, what are we going to impact if we change this. So if you're an admin, if you're a consultant, if you're a platform owner, if you're anybody who's walking into a new org, how do you make sure that this isn't your experience? How do you make sure that you're not looking around to see, okay, I really don't understand this, I wasn't involved in it, the people who built this have left, maybe the partners who were involved have left, maybe colleagues of yours who did this in areas of the org that you don't manage. It might not be a new org, it might be your existing one. How do you make sure that you have better insights than this? Well, Elements brings capabilities that allow you to shine a light on this. And there's three key areas. The first is to accelerate org discovery. We auto-generate a metadata dictionary, and we do this by using the metadata APIs that are available within Salesforce, but we build a significant amount of code standing on the shoulders of those APIs to actually bring out not just the structure of what's going on in Salesforce, but on a nightly sync, the trends of what's changing, and also insights into usage, into the risk of certain objects, and we do some basic rules-based analysis of, for example, fields within objects to get an understanding of what's there. The second area is to give you some element of Xray Vision of your org config. And again, we use the dependency API, but we build very, very significant amount of code on top of that to understand not just the dependencies that are there, but to start to give you the ability to understand the impact of changes. And the third area is, with that framework that you have comes the ability to maintain that over time and aggregate existing knowledge, whatever format that's in, and start to pull that into this central repository of knowledge to support your org and your understanding of how your org is configured. The key thing there is it's what you collectively know in context of what's important. This isn't about an individual, it's about helping get the knowledge out of people's heads into a central place where everybody can benefit from this. Even you can benefit from this 2 months, 2 years down the line when you're changing or building on something. We've done a lot of work in this area over the last few years, and we've actually documented the org discovery process. When I talk about resources, attached to these boxes, you see the little paperclip here and the drill down corner here. You can click on these, you can register with Elements, you can get access to this free knowledge, and associated with this is a wealth of information, not just free org assessment, 20 minutes, 64 questions to understand how things work, but also how to integrate and run, for example, Salesforce Optimizer, and then how to sync using the Elements capabilities with your production org or a full sandbox org to start to get insights and use the full capabilities here. So this is available. There'll be links to it at the end. Obviously in 15 minutes, not going to go through this in detail, but there's plenty here you can get your teeth into, and very happy to take you through this in detail. So what is this metadata dictionary? Well, simply put, you can think of it as a nested list of what's going on in your Salesforce org. And the way this is built is as you highlight an individual, in this case, the very highest level, in the right panel, you get the information about what's going on here. So you can see what's going on, not just in the core Salesforce orgs, but in managed packages that you've implemented, and they're here. But straight out of the box, and this is something you could be accessing, setting up this sync is literally minutes to set up, and I do mean minutes, 2-3 minutes to set up. If you've got a very large, very complex old org, might take you a couple of hours for that sync to run, normally 15, 20, 30 minutes. And at the end of that, you could click on this org analytics report, and you start to get insights into what's there already provided to you straight out of the box. No work needed, just straight out of the box. For example, percentage filled for all fields on an object. Records by object, fantastic, easy way to see what's really being used. We might have 960 custom objects, but which are the ones that have any records in? And oh, look, there's 78 objects here, which have got either 0 or 1 record, really important to build at the time, haven't been used. And by default, we look at the last 10,000 records, but could be a couple of million if you want to do that, or even set it up for all the records there. So quick insights, quick reporting, quick overviews, impact analysis on custom fields by object, so that you can see the red ones there, no data, not involved in automation, not involved in formula fields. If you're looking to clean up tech debt, you can start looking at these rather than the green ones, which are filled in more than 3% of the time. The amber ones may not have data, but they are involved in automation, formula fields, etc. So there's intelligence behind this. We help you. We do a lot of the heavy lifting. We can save, literally, we've got people saying to us, my God, I've saved not just hours, I've actually saved days in trying to understand what's going on here. Now, away from those reports, you have this framework, and if you drill into it, you can see these little triangles here. I can click down, I go to the opportunity object, and against here, I've now got in the right panel the ability to see what's going on by record type with that particular object, an optimization tab to capture actionable items there and notes and assign them to people, the ability to see dependencies we're going to see in a second, add documentation, notes, existing documentation, link to changes, integrate with Jira, pull in this, pull in Jira stories, requirements, put them in the context of what's changing. And the key bit here is also collaboration. It's no good having this ivory tower of information. You can mention people, bring them into the conversation about what's going on in the org, invite them to come in, collaborate on this information. Now, in addition to the data population statistics and those reports, you can also do that by object. So you can really start to understand, okay, what's going on within this object with quite a level of detail. But you can also start to look at, so I'm drilling down from opportunity into a particular field here and starting to look at the dependencies. Now, straight off the bat here, I can see that there are single level dependencies where this is used. I can drill into that, and where you see the little cloud with an arrow, I can pop straight into setup in Salesforce, maintaining this right panel. But I can also, down here, you see dependency where you use multi-level tree. And what that gives me is the ability to not just see the single level views, but to drill through those where it has a plus, drill through them and see what's going on behind this. Again, saving hours, sometimes days, in terms of understanding what's going on. And most importantly, avoiding the risk of inadvertently deleting something that looks innocuous, but is actually got a whole load of dependencies sitting behind it. But I can also click, this is a working list. I can click on these and I can see details about it. I can understand what's behind it. I can go into the tree here and understand what's happening. But I can also click on this cloud with the arrow there, and I'm straight into, as I said, straight into Salesforce. And through a Chrome extension, we expose all the same information in setup. Now, why is this critical? Well, because when you're doing all discovery, there's a lot of forensic stuff. You're diving in and out of Salesforce, you're figuring stuff out, we're giving you insights, but you may want to take action. You may want to look at the dependencies inside Salesforce. You may want to add documentation, changes, etc. And you can do it all inside Salesforce. And it's as simple as right panel, click on document, add documentation. Could be a note, it could be a Google Doc, it could be a link to something in Confluence that you're capturing, knowledge that people have. It could be somebody photoing a whiteboard where they're explaining the architecture of why something was built. And this is a key thing. It's not just what you're doing, it's why it was built that way that is invaluable months or years down the line. So that's a brief insight into these three areas. We could spend significant time, and we're very happy to do that, looking at the metadata dictionary and how you can set that up, the dependency analysis, the impact analysis, and how to aggregate knowledge. Now, there's a lot there. Fortunately for everyone in the Elements ecosystem working with Salesforce, we have an academy. So as well as being happy to engage with you, you can register for the academy for free. You get access to understand what you can do with this, and then training in the context of personas with multiple courses behind, with routes to follow through different training courses or different use cases. So in this case, a combination of org health and impact analysis, documenting your org, fantastic way of understanding. There's business process mapping and data modeling if you would like to do that as you go along the way. So that was an overview. I hope that was gives you at least an understanding of the scope and the comprehensiveness of the capabilities here to help you. You can register and run a free proof of concept on your org. And as I suggested, a full sandbox or production is best because you get all the insights with what's going on in record counts. You can link to that org discovery process and follow that through in detail, access the academy that I talked about there. We also have an org maturity assessment that you can run independently of your org, just to look at answer 64 questions, 20 minutes, and get a pretty good understanding of where the gaps are and where you can be helped with a whole load of third-party resources to help there. The bottom line is, engage with us. We're here to help you. I trust that that was useful for you in the last 15 minutes, and I very much look forward to speaking to you about your org and how we can help with your org discovery. Thank you very much.